Yo, what's good? Amateur Lore here, and we're back today taking a look at some group of 5 schools who shocked the college football world. Really quick, I have a new series coming soon where we're going to be taking a look at legendary teams from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. So if you want me to cover your team, comment them down below. Only requirement is they couldn't have won the national title that year. Anyway, leave a like and a sub if you like the videos and want more content like this. Now let's jump right into the video. To start this video, let's head over to Idaho to cover the first team up, the Boise State Broncos. When it comes to the Broncos, there are legit so many different seasons we could choose from. Boise State has easily been one of the best programs in all of college football over their last couple of decades. Check this out, from the year 2002 until 2019, Boise State has won 10 or more games 15 times. There really isn't too many college football teams that can say they've had a stretch of dominance lasting over 2 decades, besides of course the Blue Bloods like Ohio State and Alabama. Point is, there were way too many years to choose from, minus 2010, because I already covered that season, and while I'm sure a lot of you are expecting this video to be about the 2006 Bronco team that took down Oklahoma with one of the most iconic plays in college football history, that season for the Broncos just didn't have too many big-time matchups besides of course OU, like the 2009 season did. So that's what we're doing today, looking at the 2009 Boise State Broncos, in my opinion one of the more forgotten about Boise State football teams. Alright, so it shouldn't be a secret to anyone that coming into 2009, Boise State had been really putting their foots all over the rest of the group of 5, or as they called it back in the day, the non-BCS or mid-major schools. Dating back to the year 2002, Boise State would rail off 3 straight double-digit win seasons before coming back down to reality in 2005, winning 9 games. Which as a Gator fan, I'm withdrawing from 9-win seasons. Shit's been tough over here in the swamp. I woke up this morning with swamp ass, and my team that plays ball in the swamp is ass. The early 2000s had treated Boise State extremely nice, but Boise State would take their program to a whole nother level, going 13-0 in 2006, winning the Fiesta Bowl and the Statue of Liberty play. And from there on, the Broncos wouldn't be competing for WAC titles anymore. It was BCS bowl games or bust each and every season from this point on. Which leads us into the 2009 college football season, where the Broncos would come into the season ranked 14th. And in most of the videos I do, the team I'm covering isn't the conference favorite, but today we're bucking that trend, as it shouldn't surprise anyone the 14th ranked Broncos were the overwhelming favorites to win the WAC. But why were they the favorites? Let's take a look at some of the key figures a part of this team and try to find out. Leading the program in his 4th season up to that point, we got, in my opinion, one of the best coaches in college football history, Chris Peterson, who had this Bronco team playing elite football on both sides of the ball. As the offense would lead the NCAA in points per game, averaging 42.2, the offense was elite, and so was the defense, as they would only allow 17.1 points per game, which was best for 14th in the country. Leading this offense was the college football legend, Kellen Moore, who'd lead the WAC in nearly every passing stat, passing for 3,536 yards, 39 touchdowns to only 3 interceptions. Also, I'm sure most of you already know this, but he is currently the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. Galloping over to the running back position, the team leader was Jeremy Avery, rushing for 1,151 yards with 7 total touchdowns. And finally, to round out the offense at wide receiver, we have Titus Young, catching 79 passes for just over a G in yards with 13 total touchdowns. Before we jump into the season, I want to shout out the WAC leader in interceptions, Braden Thompson, who was a ball hawk, picking off 6 passes this year. To open up the 2009 college football season, the 14th ranked Boise State Broncos were starting their season with a pretty huge matchup. They would be hosting the 16th ranked Oregon Ducks on Thursday night to begin the year. It's kind of weird saying that your whole entire season pretty much came down to this first game, but for Boise State, if they wanted to make it back to a BCS bowl game, then their matchup against the 16th ranked Ducks was going to have to end in a win. Any other result would almost all but guarantee that the Broncos would miss the BCS for another year. Thursday night action with Boise State vs. Oregon being the primetime match. Could the Broncos get the job done in week 1?
So the game started at their own 5 and a fumble. Moore completes it. Down to the 2-yard line. To go and slump somewhat last year. And pushes this one off to the right. Moore has a man wide open. Touchdown.
The nation last year in rushing.
On the handoff, that's going to be a safety.
This young Brodsman attempts this field goal, but it's dead in the middle.
He's 0 for 2 tonight.
Just keep him.
Harper still a tailback, gets the carry. Oh, made enough. Another sweet move. Harper is in open field. 3rd and goal. That time he got in. Harper.
So
Tumultuous offseason. Masoli keeps it himself. Touchdown, Oregon. 14 Boise State with the lead. The quarterback keeps it, he put it on the ground, the ball came loose, and the Broncos have recovered. Ryan Winsterswipe recovered the loose.
Boise State would get the job done, taking down the 16th ranked Oregon Ducks 19-8. Let's just get the nonsense out of the way. Yes, this is the game where LeGarrette Blount pimp slapped a Boise State player. To cut him some slack, at least he didn't spit on a dude. But like, come on, every time I see dumb shit like that, I always get a little frustrated, but we all have to remember, these dudes are still kids. Somewhat. Cutting back to the game, this Boise State defense would shut down the Oregon Ducks, holding them to 152 yards of total offense as well as forcing 2 turnovers. Impressively enough, the Broncos were never really not in control of this game, jumping out to a 19-0 lead and holding on to that lead to win the game. What makes this win insane to me is that this 2009 Oregon Ducks football team was not asked by any means, as they would go on to win 10 games, be ranked as high as the 7th spot this season, as well as winning the Pac-12 and playing in the Rose Bowl. The big win to open up the season for Boise State would help them jump a couple of spots in the latest polls from 14th to 12th. That game versus Oregon was without a doubt their toughest regular season game by far. Everything else remaining on their schedule, Boise should be favored by close to 2 scores. You know, after taking down the Pac-12 champs in week 1, Miami, Ohio stood 0 chance. This game was a good old-fashioned Boise State blue spanking, winning easily over the Redhawks 48-0. Kellen Moore was triple editing from the pocket, passing for 307 yards with 4 touchdowns, and the defense once again shined, pitching a shutout and holding the Redhawks under 194 yards of total offense. However, in their next game on the road at Fresno State, Boise had to fight a little harder than I think expected, but they still got the job done, winning 51-34. I know you see that score and instantly think, oh, the Bulldogs got blowed out, but these pups were playing really competitive ball against the 10th ranked team in the country, being only down 27-24 early into the third quarter. I do have to point out that the Boise State Broncos jumped out to a huge lead, being up 24-3 halfway through the second, but Fresno would respond to that gut punch by scoring 17 straight of their own. Eventually, the Boise State offense would get back going, and when they did, the scoring would be too much for the Bulldogs to overcome. 3-0 and now sitting ranked at the 8th spot in the country, the Boise State Broncos were in a serious position to make some things shake in the BCS. A BCS bowl game was almost a gimme, but if chaos were to happen later in the season, then Boise State might be able to sneak their way into the Natty. Might. But before that to even be a small possibility, the Broncos would have to look flawless in the rest of their games. Credit to them, they'd run through Bowling Green 49-14, making this game look like a walkthrough, and after running through the Falcons, they'd obviously win against FCS school UC Davis 34-16. One of Boise State's toughest games on the season would come against one of the more unexpected teams. Following the win over UC Davis, Boise would be taking a trip to Oklahoma to face off against the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. This Tulsa team would finish the 2009 college football season 5-7 and fail to make a bowl game. But somehow, someway, they would give our Broncos one of their toughest games of the year.
Averaging a little over 43 yards, he handles a low snap. Boise not putting the pressure on, and Wilson's going to make his second fair catch of the night. He muffed it, it goes down, and the Golden Hurricane has it. Whitmore coming in motion, the option look, the quick pitch to Whitmore, who's going to throw it. He's got a wide open man, it's DeMaurice Johnson. Johnson's going to score. Touchdown, Tulsa. Boise State tries to tie it up. More time into the end zone, looking for his tight end, and he's got it. It's time. Kenny firing toward the end zone. 2nd and 5 for the Broncos. Moore firing a dart. It's a touchdown to Austin Pettis. Wide now. Kellen Moore tightens him up. Play action. Moore to the end zone. Touchdown, Boise State is Tommy.
Great throw, great protection, big play.
Now they're showing the reverse
There he
action.
got him.
Kenny
He got
going
him.
deep. He's got Shelley out there. Slick Shelley to stay alive. G.J. Kenny looking. Got him at one. He short hopped him. Charles Clay was all by himself at the 40, and Kenny.
Yeah, this game was sketched for a hot minute, with the Golden Hurricanes jumping out to an early 14-8 lead. Tulsa would stick around until I'd say about a good ways through the third quarter, when the Bronco offense would finally wake up, putting together a couple of scoring drives to pull away, securing the win 28-21. Boise State running back Doug Martin played a huge part in this victory, rushing for over 110 yards. This win would bring the Broncos' record on the year to 6-0 and their ranking to the 4th spot. Boise was 2 more spots away from making it into the top 2 and securing one of the 2 coveted national title spots. I will say though, around this time the BCS was not messing with mid-major programs, so Boise could not afford to play in stinkers like they just did against Tulsa. They would have to get back to boat racing schools by 40 plus points. I feel so bad for the next 2 teams on the Broncos schedule because Boise State knew what time it was, and I think their opponents did as well because the Broncos would make a statement defeating the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors 54-9 and the San Jose Spartans 45-7. Sheesh, they never really stood a chance. These 2 blowout wins wouldn't really do too much for the Broncos, as like I said earlier, the BCS did not fuck with non-Power 5 schools, as Boise State's ranking would actually fall back after these 2 wins from the 4th spot back to the 7th. The message was pretty clear. The BCS was not messing with Boise State. If they wanted to somehow creep their way into the top 2, they would need absolute chaos and to win the rest of their games while looking like one of the best teams in the country while doing it. The Broncos were coming up on a 4-game stretch of conference play, versus teams such as Louisiana Tech, Idaho, Utah State, and Nevada. If the men and women sitting behind computers working in an office somewhere was not going to give this Bronco football team the respect they deserved, then they were just going to have to take it. F of BCS, they just needed to lock in and take care of business during this 4-game stretch of whack play. And most importantly, look like studs while doing it.
That's the 3. That'll be a touchdown.
ESPN.com for more.
They fake to Avery, going to the end zone for Young. He's open. Touchdown. And he sets a heck of a block for Jenkins. He gets to the edge and scores.
Here, the number 7 in the BCS, Boise State.
Jenkins to the end zone. What a catch! Morris, touchdown! Looking in that direction, and it's caught. Touchdown!
For center. Moore looking to the fade route, has his man out there. Touchdown, Boise. TCS game. Moore on 2nd and 7, back to pass, goes to the end zone, has a man wide open. In the backfield. Reeder back to pass, has his man, he's covered, it's intercepted. Kyle Wilson down the left sideline, no one's gonna touch him. Touchdown, Broncos. 2nd down and 8. Kellen Moore stays in the game. Moore throwing to the end zone. Moore touchdown.
2nd and goal. Moore to pass. Lofts it to the end zone. 2nd and 5. Quick pace now. And look at this. Here goes. Quite deceiving. They have performed well this year. And here's the guy that's performed best. Robert. Quarterback here. Interesting formation. Double handoff, Avery. How about that? Great major leaguer. Here's Avery now, breaking free, into the clear. Jeremy Avery. Martin. 2nd effort, and a little more. Touchdown.
Get the ball first year, and Ricky Drake will be kicking off in the rain. And this is Titus Young. Titus Young is so dangerous, and here he goes. He cuts back to the inside, still on his feet, and Titus Young is gone. 95 yards.
Florida in motion, shifting. They go with play action. Dan Paul again.
Outside, maybe a fade route.
To the corner. He's got it. Receiver out with an ankle injury. Over the middle. Touchdown. Could this be number 5?
Boise State would run through this 4-game stretch of conference play, going 4-0, taking down Louisiana Tech 45-35. This game was pretty spooky. The Broncos were up big at one point, 27-7, looking like they were going to run away with this game like they do against most teams they play against. But the Bulldogs kept themselves alive, going on a little run, with the score being Boise State 30 to Louisiana Tech 28, 1 minute into the 4th quarter. Of course, the Broncos would finish strong, running away with the win behind a 354-yard, 3-touchdown night from quarterback Kellen Moore. After Louisiana Tech, Boise State would get the W versus Idaho 63-25, and then follow that blowout win with another one against Utah State 52-21. I want to shout out running back Doug Martin again, because during this game he would only touch the ball 13 times and still ran for 121 yards and get this 4 touchdowns. I love seeing stat lines like that. It reminds me of flight back in middle school. And finally, to finish off this 4-game stretch of whack play, the Broncos would handle a Colin Kaepernick-led Nevada football team 44-33. After coasting their way through the back half of their WAC conference schedule, a now 12-0 6th-ranked Boise State football team had 1 game remaining on their regular season schedule against the 2-10 New Mexico State Aggies. For those who don't remember too much about the 2009 college football season, this is the year that Alabama faced off against Texas in the national championship game. With both of those teams being undefeated, that meant there was no chance everybody's favorite underdogs, the Boise State Broncos, could sneak their way into the national championship game. Even though, if I'm being realistic, even if Bama and Texas had lost the game, I don't think that would have changed much, as Cincinnati would go undefeated this year, as well as TCU, and Florida would finish the year with 1 loss in the regular season. So yeah, there was no room for them in the BCS national title game. However, after taking down New Mexico State 42-7 to end the regular season, putting their record at 13-0, Boise State would be rewarded with a date in the Fiesta Bowl against the 4th-ranked TCU Horned Frogs. I'm legit not too sure, someone please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've ever had 2 G5 or mid-major programs facing off in a BCS or New Year's Six bowl game. It's kind of crazy that in 2009 we were blessed with 6th-ranked Boise State versus 4th-ranked TCU. The Broncos had a chance to establish themselves as one of the best programs, not just in the G5 but in all of college football, if they could take down TCU, bringing home their 2nd BCS bowl game win in a 4-year span. Boise State versus TCU in the Fiesta Bowl. Let's go.
To the beautiful Valley of the sun setting at Glendale, Arizona, the home of the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. It has brought together fans of Boise State from Idaho and the fans of Texas Christian University from Fort Worth, Texas. A great matchup, undefeated teams, Boise State and TCU in the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl.
The Broncos getting set to kick off. Back deep is Greg McCoy, a defensive back, probably the fastest man on the TCU team. Kyle Brotzman, the junior, will kick it off. Chris Peterson, the head coach of Boise State, his teams have gone 48-4 over his 4 years at Boise. And we're underway in the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. McCoy on the return. Is hit hard and brought down. 4 wide receivers on 3rd and 10. Everybody out. Dalton throws, completes to Ryan Christian, but he's brought down short of the first. Wesley, the running back. Everybody out. Quick pass is intercepted. Brought back by Brandon Thompson for a touchdown for Boise State. Kellen Moore gets time. Throws for Austin Pennis. Goes up and makes the grab. Field goal. Missed from 36 earlier. This one he's got right down the middle. The in motion. Dalton gets time. He throws deep. He's got a man. Play has got it. Touchdown TCU. And 1. And the toss to Avery behind Don Pauly. Tackled for a loss by Darrell Washington. Dalton throws short, completes to Jimmy Young. Nice move against Brandon Thompson, and then he's continuing that at this moment. Jonathan Jones in at wide receiver. The pass to Jeremy Curley. He avoided Kyle Wilson. Great move. 14 for 17 this season. And the kick is right through. And the game is tied.
And played accordingly, get their hands up. That time you got a pass breakup, got a bat down.
And TCU's defense comes up big after the turnover. Brotzman throws it on the fake. Completes to Ephraim, the tight end. Kyle Ephraim inside the TCU 40. 8 catches in the game. The play fake. Moore throwing wide open is Gallardo. The tight end
zone for Boise State.
2 tight ends in. Doug Martin, big hole, he's in, touchdown! Dalton with time, he's going deep for Jimmy Young, he overthrew it. Return the punt to Brotzman. Brotzman runs to his right. Sidewinder kick grabbed on the line by Curley. Good return by Jeremy Curley. And he is slowed down for the running back. Dalton puts it up for Hicks. He juggles and drops it. Motion. Everybody out. Dalton being pressured. Throws and the ball's incomplete.
They're going to have to play medium range coverage. They can't play off and soft to get huge cushion.
And that pass up for grabs is intercepted by Venable, who goes to the ground at the 28. The Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, 17-10 over TCU.
Wow, what a heavyweight bout. I forgot how good this matchup was, so rewatching it was better than anything the Gators given me this year 100%. The Boise State Broncos would survive TCU's late comeback attempts, winning the Fiesta Bowl 17-10 against the 4th-ranked TCU Horned Frogs to bring the Broncos' final record on the season to 14-0, as well as bringing the Fiesta Bowl trophy back with them to Idaho. Kellen Moore played good as well as the rest of the offense, but I have to give the MVP of this game to the entire Boise defense, as they would hold TCU to 308 total yards while giving up less than 40 rushing yards to a Horned Frog team who loved to run the football. Oh yeah, I can't forget about the 3 huge interceptions, one of them being a pick 6 and the other pretty much sealing the game for the Broncos. What a way to end an amazing season for Boise State. Finishing the 2009 college football season ranked as the 4th best team in the country, their highest AP poll finish in program history. Leaving Idaho, let's take a trip down to the Big Easy to cover the next team up in this video. Really quick, I have to mention this. One of the main reasons I'm putting the Tulane Green Wave in this video is because I had a subscriber of mine named Boober, WT6SE, whatever kind of name that is, who has been commenting on every single video I've dropped for at least 3 months now, maybe even longer, with a list of group of 5 schools he wants to see me cover. I got you, Brody. I know it took me a long ass time, but better late than never. Also, don't anybody get any bright ideas. Okay, so when I decided I was going to cover the 2022 Tulane Green Wave, I already kind of knew that they had an incredible season, but what I didn't know was that it came out of absolutely nowhere. Let me explain. Tulane had only finished the season with a record over 500 4 times going back 10 years before the year 2022. And then the season right before the one we're covering, in 2021, Tulane would finish the season 2-10, which was their worst record since 2012. All of that goes without saying, the wider college football world wasn't really expecting much from this 2022 Tulane football team. As looking through some of the American Athletic Conference preseason predictions, most of the media agreed that Tulane was nothing more than a bottom feeder. Or at least that is what they were expecting, with a lot of the predictions having the Green Wave to finish around the 7th spot or lower in the conference. But as we should all know, they couldn't be any more wrong. Okay, that was a very, very short little intro. Now let's take a look at some of the young men making noise in the state NBA young boy was born in. Leading the program in his 7th season up to that point at head coach, we have Willie Fritz. I haven't asked this question in a while for some reason, but Tulane fans, where do you rank him all time on your coaching ladder? Comment down below. Also, as I'm currently making this video, he's the current coach of the Houston Cougars, and they look pretty good right now, sitting at 4-0. Of course, by the time I post this video, that could all change. Launchpadding over to the quarterback, this team had a dude under center in Michael Pratt who passed for just over 3,000 yards with 27 touchdowns to only 5 interceptions. Also can't forget about his 478 rushing yards with an additional 10 tutties. Damn, 37 total touchdowns, not bad at all. His numbers were nasty, but the running back Tajay Spears might have had the best solo stats on this team, rushing for 1,581 yards with 19 touchdowns, both of which led the American Conference. This Tulane squad was for sure a run-first football team, but that doesn't mean they didn't have any dogs at the wideout position, with the team leader being Shea Wyatt catching 35 passes for 692 yards and 7 touchdowns. To open up the 2022 college football season, the Tulane Green Wave would begin the year with 2 tune-up games before they would be set to travel to Kansas State to face off against the Wildcats. First up was UMass, which Tulane would handle easily 42-10, and then to follow that up, they would blow out Alcorn State 52-0. Quarterback Michael Pratt was doing whatever he wanted from the pocket this game, passing for 318 yards with 3 touchdowns in this easy victory. The Green Wave were now 2-0, and while at this point in the season, I don't think any of the Tulane fans were thinking New Year's Six Bowl game just yet, their game coming up on the road against Kansas State was going to play a huge part in deciding if this team could potentially find their way into a New Year's Six Bowl game at the end of the season. This is a little spoiler, but this 2022 K-State football team would finish the regular season 10-3, winning the Big 12 title. So a win here could really set Tulane up for a nice New Year's Six Bowl game run.
First down for Tulane from the 21. They fakes the handoff to Celestine. Pratt's going to take a shot. Has him wide open at the 40-yard line. Down the sideline, McDougal. First and goal, Tulane. Trying to get towards the end zone. Spears is touchdown. Spears wound up staying in his home state and going to Tulane. There's Martinez throwing to the end zone. Warner! He hangs on. First down at the 39 at K-State. Pratt across the middle. Picked off. Intercepted Daniel Green. Who had his first career pick last week against Mizzou, and this one he erased. Bacon Clark making that play. 22-yard attempt. High for Pratt for rushing yards in a game. He wants to throw on first down and threads the needle. Pratt to his tight end. Touchdown, James. Wow. And he got the first down.
I'm telling you. And he almost dropped it, and that was second effort.
Tulane stuns the crowd, the capacity crowd.
Tulane would pull off the upset 17-10 in a game where points were not easy to come by at all. I thought I was watching a mid-2000s Big Ten football game for a second. Tulane's quarterback Michael Pratt played one hell of a football game in this matchup. Now his stats were nothing insane, but he literally had to fight for every single yard he got. Tulane vs Kansas State was one of those games where you had to pay a blood toll just to gain one measly yard. And Michael Pratt definitely paid his dues, passing for 176 yards, a touchdown with 2 interceptions, as well as rushing for 87 yards on 13 carries. I know some of you might see those stats and not be too impressed, but Pratt did everything his team needed him to do to pull off this big Week 3 win. And like I mentioned earlier, this K-State football team wasn't fodder at all, as they would win the Big 12 this year, so this was for sure a huge win for the Green Wave. The Green Wave were now sitting with a record of 3-0 on the season and just outside of the top 25. Conference play was just around the corner, but Tulane just had one non-conference game left to handle before that against Southern Miss. Things would start out normal in this game, with Tulane jumping out to a 14-0 lead on the back of running back Tajay Spears' 2 rushing touchdowns. The Golden Eagles would respond to end the half, but for the most part, Tulane looked like the better football team. The second half would be one I'm sure the Green Wave wishes they could forget, as they would miss not 1 but 2 field goals. While on the other side of the field, the Golden Eagles would execute on key downs and plays, actually going up 20-17 at the 8-minute mark. No need to panic though. Tulane was the better football team, and the final box score of the game reflects that, right? As Tulane would outgain Southern Miss 451-253, and they would have the football for nearly 16 more minutes. All a recipe for success, but somehow Tulane would fumble this football game. They would have the ball down 3 with a lot of time left in the fourth when QB Michael Pratt would throw an interception that would be returned to the house, stretching the lead to 2 scores, eventually ending in a Tulane loss 27-24. This loss was really unfortunate, and it was coming right before a crucial stretch of American Athletic Conference play. Tulane had to shake off that loss quickly because coming up on their schedule were games against Houston, East Carolina, South Florida, and Memphis. That game to begin the stretch for Houston was one that the Green Wave really needed to lock in for because their starting quarterback and one of their team leaders, Michael Pratt, was going to be out due to an AC joint injury. He'd be back after that Houston game though, so if the backup Kai Horton could keep things afloat, Tulane should be able to survive this stretch.
It's a well-deserved breather. Horton on the rollout, giving chase is Mutin, and the throw caught at the goal line and in for it.
That is dry.
Houston picking up the tempo a bit too here, perhaps trying to tire those folks out. Toon will keep. Dives inside the 45. Ball came loose. Tulane's got it. Then they're headed the other way. Kennedy into the end zone. Campbell again off the left side. Puts his head down and in. The shovel. Touchdown. Green Wave. On its way. And it is good. So Horton into the end zone. Spears. Touchdown. Tulane.
Gerard Stringer, a lot of talented guys for this Pirates defense.
Pratt's going to take a shot downfield. He's got a man. It's caught down the sideline. Fakes it. Throws. He's got his tight end. Pratt will try to sneak it in. Touchdown.
Fast. Great job on the deep over route there.
Pratt again, downfield for Watts, who makes the catch and takes it in.
Pratt, fade, up for grabs, and it's caught for the touchdown. Protection is there, wide open in the end zone, touchdown. Keeper for the quarterback, Pratt. No signal yet. Touchdown! Doyle and their kicker, Chris Howard. Jaquan Jackson chased back inside his own 10. May have outkicked the coverage a little bit. Jackson with an alleyway. He's out across the 40. Midfield inside the 30, and there he goes to the house. They'll run it. In goes Shotty. Pratt, back shoulder, touchdown, Deuce Watts.
Tulane would go 4-0 during this stretch of American Athletic Conference play. Although some games would offer a higher degree of difficulty than others, mainly their first game to begin the stretch against Houston that would go to overtime and see the Green Wave coming out on top 27-24. But what's crazy about this match is that Tulane saw themselves down by 7 with less than 3 minutes in the fourth quarter. And the backup quarterback Kai Horton had to go 75 yards in that amount of time, which let's not forget, this Tulane ball club was primarily a run-first team. Credit to him, he'd make magic happen, hooking up on big passes to Shea White and Deuce Watts, then finishing the drive off on a 4th and goal, hitting Tyreek James for the game-tying touchdown. In overtime, Tulane's defense would step up, holding the Cougars to 3, while the Green Wave offense would put 6 on the board, winning 27-24. After surviving Houston, starting QB Michael Pratt would return to the lineup and continue right where he and this Green Wave football team left off, winning convincingly against East Carolina 24-9 behind a 326 passing yard 2-touchdown night for Michael Pratt. He would one-up himself in his next game the following week on the road at USF, passing for 329 yards with 4 total touchdowns in a 45-31 win against South Florida. The final game of the stretch would be one of the best Tulane played as an entire unit, winning 38-28 against the Memphis Tigers. The Green Wave would be up 35-0 by the end of the first half and would coast in the second half to a pretty easy win. The defense was very opportunistic this game, forcing 4 turnovers, 2 of them being interceptions against the Tigers QB Seth Heinigen. Now sitting with a record of 7-1 on the season, as well as being ranked in the top 25 at the 19th spot, Tulane had somewhat got themselves back into the New Year's Six bowl game race. Since they had 2 games coming up on their schedule versus top 25 teams and 22nd ranked UCF and 24th ranked Cincinnati, if they could win those 2 games / make it to the American Athletic Conference Championship game and bring the title back home to the 14th ward, the bowl game committee was going to be all but forced to throw Tulane into a New Year's Six bowl game. That was all just hypotheticals at the point in the year we were in, as first they had to take down Tulsa on the road, which to spare you the suspense, they would get the win 27-13, bringing their record to 8-1 with the game versus UCF staring them down. Okay, so I was debating on if I wanted to include a full highlight section of this game and decided not to, mainly because the Knights would jump out to a 31-14 lead and the Green Wave would be playing comeback for most of the football game. eventually losing 38-31 to the 22nd ranked UCF Knights. I know some of you might be thinking that loss meant the Green Wave season was over, but it wasn't. After the ugly loss, they would bounce back and take down SMU 59-24. Tulane was up 49-7 at one point in this game, and you can tell they were taking out their anger from the week before on poor SMU. The Tulane Green Wave were now 9-2, still ranked at the 19th spot with one game left on their 2022 regular season schedule. A matchup with the 24th ranked Cincinnati Bearcats, and pretty much a winner-take-all game. If Tulane could walk into Nipper Stadium and get the win, that would mean they would get to host the 22nd ranked UCF Knights in a rematch game that would decide the winner of the American Athletic Conference, and most likely decide who got to play in the New Year's Six Bowl game.
Third down conversions on this drive. Spears stays in as the Wildcat. Spears gets outside. A stutter step back.
They get very, very stingy.
Charles McClellan has a first down and a lot more. Look at the cut. McClellan to the end zone.
Plenty of time with 2-3 timeouts remaining.
On first down, Pratt off the pump fake has Keys. That's another first down. Brogio back on the field. Kick is on the way. And it is good. Third. We'll fake it to Spears. Pratt's been crafty on the move. Pass caught. And that is a chain mover all the way down inside the 15. Pratt under center. Handoff Spears to the edge for the touchdown. On second down, Montgomery with a burst. Montgomery with a touchdown.
This drive, but they've got to show other players can make plays as well.
They fake it to Spears. Pratt across the middle has a man and a first down. 3 yards. Pratt now over 100 yards passing to the end zone. Pass is caught. And the Green Wave. And let's see. Wiley switches sides. Prater on the move. Incomplete and poked away.
Blocking tight ends in this league.
Second down and 5. Pratt to the air. Bang to the end zone. Got it. Raton, Florida. He's going to throw it here. Long pass this way. Caught by Lawrence Keys. Inside the 20. Keys outrunning the defense. And into the end.
I'm a football player, Ty J. Spears.
Gets it again here. Looking for the cutback. And it's loose in midfield. Look out, Spears. Inside the 40. He hurdles his own guy. And Spears is gone. Touchdown, Tulane. After all these years. It's 30 years since Jimmy beat back. Pratt downfield. 2 slots. Goodbye. 73 yards.
It would be a game to play one of these teams into the play.
That's a great point. And it looks like it's going to be Tulane because Pratt is into the end zone for a huge touchdown with 4 minutes to go.
Tulane would pull it off, taking down the Bearcats 27-24 in an extremely tough winner-take-all football game. Both of these teams finished this matchup with pretty even stats. This game could have honestly gone either way, and for a little moment late in the fourth quarter, it seemed like it was going to go the other way with Cincinnati scoring the go-ahead touchdown. Michael Pratt and this 2022 Tulane football team was built a little different though, as they would respond scoring the game-winning touchdown on a 30-yard bomb to Deuce Watts. Once Tulane went up in the fourth, their defense would do the rest, stopping Cincinnati on their next 2 drives to secure the win. Their reward for taking down the Bearcats was a rematch with the UCF Knights in the American Athletic Conference title game. This game was pretty much a carbon copy of their first matchup, with both teams being ranked similar to the last time they matched up, with Tulane once again hosting the game. Well, there was one difference. Tulane would dominate this match, winning 45-28 to bring home the American Athletic Conference title, making it the first time since 1998 Tulane had won a conference title. The regular season was over, and Tulane would finish 2022 with an 11-2 record, once again making school history with their most wins in a single season since 1998. I'm looking at that 1998 team right now, and I might have to cover them someday. They went 12-0 and finished the year ranked 7th. I legit had no clue about that Tulane team before making this video. Back to the 2022 Tulane Green Wave. While their regular season was over and their football team was the talk of the school, their jobs were not over just yet. This season had already been a historical one that I'm sure won't be forgotten anytime soon, but if they wanted to be immortalized, they would have to take down the 10th ranked USC Trojans, led by 2022's Heisman Trophy winner and future #1 overall pick, quarterback Caleb Williams. Tulane had not faced an opponent like this all season. This game was going to require max effort for the Green Wave to stay alive against this incredible offense. However, Tulane was playing with house money, and we all know a team playing with house money is one of the scariest things to go up against. Could the Green Wave pull off this humongous upset?
Malik Brown back deep. That'll take it 1st and 10. You got a 2-minute offense that won't stop. Williams gets it out on the receiver screen. Complete touchdown, Jackson. 3rd and 22. Williams with all day. Still on the loose. Flings it. got it. The two Rice. Williams rolls that way. Fires. Touchdown. USC. Bynum on the Wildcat. Takes the direct snap. Gets into the end zone. No doubt. Pratt on 2nd and 10. Completes it over the middle. Jackson. And he took some ankles at midfield. Jackson on the move. Step in. They're looking at shoe bottoms. Touchdown. Find him in motion. Trips right. Williams rolls out that way. Fires. Touchdown in the back of the end zone.
Sounds biblical.
Spears. Broke a couple of tackles. Happy New Year. There he is. Williams spins out of harm's way. Pulls. Caught. No signal.
From Jerry Rice. Yes, he is on YouTube and you can watch him. The greatest of all time. His son is having a great game.
You might have to find Google to find this guy. Spears. What an answer. Tyjae Spears all the way. Family watching in attendance. Here he is. Daddy, you proud? On 14 carries, it's a very healthy average. Adding to the total. Ball came out. It's loose. Trojans say they've got it. He put it on the ground. A new dog was hanging around. The glory days feel like they're coming back for the Trojans. That field goal good by
Time play right on cue.
59 yards in all. And there it is. Spears with the touchdown. Oh, we're going to have a safety. Jenkins with the tackle. And it's a safety. Ian Wyatt. Pratt. Delivers. First down. Bowman. And they're alive. Fires. Incomplete for Bowman. Incomplete. The official right there. Eric Gentry there in coverage. And it's 3rd and goal.
On the field is an incomplete pass. 3rd down.
Here it is again. You're going to see he doesn't catch it clean, but when he goes to the ground, the ball never touches the ground. It's in between his hands, his legs, and the DB's arm.
Let's bring in Matt Austin again, our rules analyst. What's your take, Matt?
Yeah, Robert, you're exactly right. I don't see the ball touching the ground either. It is resting on both their hands. He secures it before it ever touches. I think this is going to be a touchdown.
One chance for Caleb Williams. They're going to try a bunch of laterals here. Still on his feet. Still alive. Not advancing the ball a whole lot. And that might be it. It's over.